How to never get angry or bothered by anyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to each and every one of you. In our bustling, interconnected world, we are constantly confronted by the myriad expressions of human behavior. People communicate their thoughts, however fleeting or profound. They engage in actions that range from the mundane to the utterly unexpected. And they exhibit attitudes and dispositions that can, at times, defy our understanding or even our tolerance. We encounter individuals who speak their minds without filter, who act on impulse, and who conduct themselves in ways that can be both surprising and unsettling. And yet, amidst all this external noise and unpredictable human nature, the most profound and pressing question isn't truly about them at all. It's an intensely personal inquiry. It's about us. We must ask ourselves, what does this particular situation, this specific interaction, reveal or mean about me? How can we possibly maintain our composure, our inner stillness, when someone overtly disrespects us, whether intentionally or inadvertently? How do we manage to remain fundamentally unshaken, grounded in our own sense of peace, when life inevitably places challenging individuals, truly difficult people, directly in our path? The fundamental truth, the deeply liberating answer, isn't found in attempting to forcibly alter or reform these external individuals or circumstances. That is a path almost certainly doomed to frustration and failure. Instead, the profound solution lies within. It's about transforming ourselves. The very first and most crucial step on the journey to never becoming truly angry, annoyed, or profoundly bothered by anyone is to grasp this powerful understanding. Absolutely no one possesses inherent control over your emotions. They simply do not have that power, unless, and this is the critical caveat, unless you consciously or unconsciously choose to hand it over to them. Let's engage with a vivid mental image. Consider your mind, your inner world, as a beautiful and carefully maintained house. This house possesses precious internal spaces where your tranquility resides, where your peace flourishes. Now, would you, with deliberate intent, leave the main entrance, your very front door, completely ajar, inviting any stranger, any passerby, to simply stroll in at their leisure? Perhaps to track mud across your pristine floors, rearrange your carefully placed furniture, or even cause outright chaos and disarray? Of course not. Such an act would be unthinkable, a blatant disregard for your own sanctuary. So then, why do we so frequently allow the harsh, thoughtless words and the often unexamined actions of other people to so easily breach the sanctity of our inner peace, invading our mental home and creating an unwanted mess? The uncomfortable yet profoundly liberating truth is that the vast majority of people's negativity, their irritability, their unkindness, or their critical remarks has absolutely nothing, or at best very little, to do with you personally. It is almost always at its core deeply rooted in their own internal landscape, stems from their unresolved stress, their lingering insecurities, their private struggles, their unfulfilled expectations, or their own personal pain. And yet, despite this clear distinction, we, in our default human tendency, often immediately internalize it. We make it intensely personal, taking deep offense as if their words or actions were direct attacks aimed squarely at our being. But here is a profound secret, a true gem of wisdom. The moment you genuinely stop taking things personally, the very instant you decouple your self-worth and emotional state from others' behavior, you instantaneously stop empowering others. You reclaim that vital, inherent control over your own emotional experience, denying them the ability to disturb your peace. Now, let's delve even deeper into this concept of control, specifically the kind of control that truly matters. We often fall into the trap of thinking, if only this particular person would alter their behavior, if only this specific situation would change, then and only then would I finally be at peace. This is a seductive but ultimately false premise. Real, enduring strength and profound resilience emanate not from a desperate longing for external entities to conform to our wishes, but from the liberating realization that you do not, in fact, require anyone or anything outside of yourself to change. What you truly need, what you truly possess the power to cultivate, is the ability to master your own response. Instead of allowing an automatic, often destructive, reaction of anger to surge forth, I encourage you to try simple yet extraordinarily powerful technique. Pause. Take a deliberate, deep breath. Then, and this is crucial, ask yourself a deeply probing question. Is this situation, this comment, this person's action truly worth sacrificing my precious inner peace? More often than not, perhaps 9 times out of 10, or even more, the honest answer will be a resounding no. But this profound shift isn't merely about skillfully avoiding the disruptive emotion of anger. It is, more significantly, about actively choosing something superior, something more constructive and enriching. When someone or something frustrates you, do not simply try to resist the anger, for resistance often fuels what it opposes. Instead, make a conscious effort to replace it. Replace that reactive anger with understanding, seeking to comprehend the underlying reasons for their behavior. Replace it with a touch of humor, finding the absurdity in the situation, which can instantly disarm tension. Replace it with calm indifference, acknowledging that their behavior simply doesn't warrant your emotional investment. Or, most powerfully, replace it with genuine empathy, recognizing that they, too, are likely fighting battles you cannot see. And always, always remember this profound truth. Cultivating and maintaining inner peace is not, and never will be, about constructing a perfect life devoid of difficult people or challenging situations. It is, instead, about meticulously building yourself into someone so inherently unshakable, so profoundly grounded in your own sense of self, that no one, no matter how volatile, how toxic, or how disruptive they may be, can ever successfully pull you into the maelstrom of their own personal storm. So, as we consider these profound insights today, I leave you with a powerful yet practical challenge. The very next time someone attempts to provoke you, to get under your skin, to ruffle your feathers, resist the urge to react instantly. Instead, consciously choose to observe the situation with a calm, detached awareness. Allow yourself a small, knowing smile, acknowledging the attempt to disturb your peace. Then, if appropriate and possible, simply walk away from the situation, both physically and emotionally. Hold on to your power, for it is a precious commodity. Because, when all is said and done, the truly strongest person in any given room is rarely the one who shouts the loudest, who dominates the conversation, or who decisively wins the argument. No, the strongest individual is invariably the one who has reached a level of inner mastery where they no longer feel any compelling need to engage in argument at all, understanding that their peace is far more valuable than proving a point. Why do we find ourselves getting angry so frequently? Why do we so readily permit the words and actions of other people to profoundly bother us, to disrupt our tranquility? Most of us, through habit and conditioning, navigate our lives in a constant state of reaction to external stimuli, to the words and deeds of others. We respond on autopilot, without ever taking that crucial pause, that vital moment of introspection, to ask ourselves the most important question of all. Why does this specific incident, this particular interaction, genuinely affect me in this way? Our attention is almost always fixated on the external, what people said, what they did, what went wrong, who was at fault. But if our earnest desire is to truly become unshakable, to cultivate a robust and resilient inner peace, then we must fundamentally shift our focus. We must begin with the transformative question of why. Let's try to vividly illustrate this with a common scenario. Imagine for a moment, you're driving along, minding your own business, and suddenly Another driver aggressively cuts you off in traffic, perhaps without even signaling. Instantly, you feel a surge of frustration bubbling up from within you. Your heart rate noticeably quickens, your muscles tense, and you might find yourself muttering something under your breath, perhaps even resorting to honking your horn vehemently. But let's truly dissect this moment. Did that other person's action, their reckless driving, inherently, objectively take something away from you? Did it physically harm you in that instant? Or, more accurately, was the frustration you experienced primarily caused by your expectation that all other drivers should invariably behave carefully, courteously, and respectfully at all times? The profound insight here is that the true underlying source of our anger, our irritation, and our emotional distress is rarely the external event itself. The traffic incident, the rude comment, the unexpected delay, these are merely triggers. The real source of our suffering is the meaning we consciously or unconsciously attach to that event. We become deeply upset when someone treats us rudely because we harbor an expectation of always receiving respect. We feel profoundly hurt when someone appears to ignore us because we expect, perhaps even crave, acknowledgement and validation. We get disproportionately annoyed when our carefully laid plans go awry because we expect a certain level of control over outcomes. But here's the critical realization. These expectations, however deeply ingrained, are not objective realities. They are mental constructs, personal desires that we project onto the world. The precise moment we genuinely internalize and accept that the world, in its vast and chaotic complexity, does not and cannot operate according to our own highly personalized rulebook, that is the moment we begin to truly liberate ourselves from the ceaseless, exhausting cycle of frustration, disappointment, and anger. Consider for a moment the last time someone's words caused you genuine hurt. Perhaps they offered a sharp criticism of your work, dismissively brushed aside an opinion you held dear, or delivered a biting, sarcastic comment. Your initial instinctive reaction may very well have been to feel defensive, to become angry, or even to feel deeply insulted. But I urge you to pause, just for a breath, and ask yourself, with genuine curiosity, why does this specific comment, this particular interaction, bother me so deeply? Is it because deep down, residing in a quiet corner of my being, I harbor a secret uncertainty about my own abilities or capabilities? Is it because I possess a powerful, unacknowledged craving for validation, and this person's words or actions have just denied me that much desired affirmation? More often than not, if we are truly honest with ourselves, our intense emotional reactions in these situations reveal far more about our own inner landscape, our hidden fears, and our unaddressed needs than they do about the other person who uttered the words. Their comment might be a mirror, reflecting something back to us that we need to examine within ourselves. There is a timeless story of a revered Zen master, a paragon of wisdom and calm, who was once confronted and cruelly insulted by an agitated visitor. Instead of reacting with anger, indignation, or defensiveness, the master, with serene composure, simply offered a gentle smile. He then posed a profound question to his assailant. If someone offers you a gift, and you, for whatever reason, do not accept it, to whom, then, does that gift ultimately belong? The visitor, momentarily taken aback by the unexpected inquiry, pondered for a moment before replying, "To the giver, of course." The master nodded slowly, a knowing glint in his eyes, and with quiet authority concluded, "Then why should I accept your anger?" This simple yet potent exchange perfectly encapsulates the profound power of detachment. When we learn to start with why, when we diligently examine the true root and origin of our emotional reactions, we begin to gain invaluable clarity. And with clarity, critically, comes choice. Instead of being enslaved by an automatic, habitual reaction, we are empowered to consciously decide whether a particular external event, a specific word, or an action is genuinely worthy of our precious energy and peace. We can choose to simply let the gift of anger, frustration, or insult remain with the giver. Consider adopting a radically different approach to navigating life's inevitable challenges. Instead of persistently demanding or even subtly hoping that the world will perfectly conform to your intricate web of expectations, make the conscious decision to loosen your grip on those expectations, or even let go of them entirely. Instead of perpetually expecting everyone you encounter to be inherently kind, accepting that some people simply aren't for reasons entirely their own. Instead of blindly assuming that others will always act with perfect fairness, recognize that fairness, while a noble pursuit, is ultimately a deeply personal value, not an unbending universal law that everyone adheres to. When you consciously shift your mindset in this profoundly liberating way, something remarkable occurs. People, and their often unpredictable behaviors, lose their inherent ability to truly bother you. They are free to do what they choose, say what they will, but you, and crucially, you alone, remain unequivocally in control of your response. Now, let's be absolutely clear. This transformative shift in mindset does not imply that you become passive, or that you meekly allow people to disregard your boundaries or walk all over you. Far from it. What it profoundly means is that you simply choose not to hand over your emotional power, your inner peace, so easily, so casually to the whims of others. You come to recognize that the vast majority of what triggers you, what upsets you, what makes you angry, is fundamentally a reflection of your own inner world, your beliefs, your values, your expectations, your past experiences, rather than an objective external reality. And that profound realization alone, that deep understanding, endows you with the remarkable ability to maintain a state of calm, even in situations that once would have instantly triggered the strong, negative emotional reaction within you. The next time you feel that familiar surge of anger rising within you, resist the instinct to ask, "What did they do to me?" Instead, with open curiosity, ask the more potent question, "Why does this particular situation, this specific action, bother me?" The answer, if you are truly honest and reflective, will always, without exception, point inward. And the very moment you begin to genuinely look inward, to explore the landscape of your own mind, you simultaneously reclaim full and complete control over your emotional destiny. We as humans spend an inordinate amount of our lives in a tireless, often futile, attempt to control an endless array of external factors, things, people, situations, and desired outcomes. We fervently wish for circumstances to unfold precisely our way, for people to behave exactly as we expect them to, and for life itself to be consistently predictable, orderly, and fair. However, no matter how diligently or forcefully we try to exert this external control, reality, with its inherent unpredictability, frequently has entirely different plans. People will inevitably say things that wound, circumstances will shift unexpectedly without our consent, and the world will simply not always conform to the precise blueprint of our desires. The more tenaciously we attempt to control these uncontrollable external elements, the more frustrated, agitated, and ultimately miserable we become. The profound truth is this: the illusion of external control is precisely that, an illusion. The only true, verifiable control we possess, the only domain where our power is absolute, is over ourselves, our thoughts, our emotions, and our chosen responses. Reflect for a moment on the last time you became genuinely upset. Perhaps someone spoke to you with an unwarranted rudeness, completely ignored your sincere efforts, or engaged in an action that felt deeply unfair. The natural, almost automatic reaction is to feel offended, frustrated, or even consumed by anger. But I invite you to pause for a significant moment and ask yourself, with candid introspection, was I truly upset because of what they did? Or was I primarily upset because I harbored an expectation that they should have acted differently? The honest answer, upon careful reflection, is almost always the latter. Our suffering, our emotional distress, does not fundamentally originate from the actions of others themselves. Rather, it arises from our stubborn resistance to reality, our internal fight against the way things actually are, rather than the way we believe they should be. Let's consider a practical, relatable example to solidify this understanding. Imagine you are standing outside, perhaps ready for a picnic, and it suddenly begins to rain unexpectedly. You feel an immediate surge of frustration because you had meticulously planned a perfect, sunny day. You might even metaphorically, or literally, shake your fist at the sky, curse the unexpected weather, and feel a profound sense of disappointment. But let's analyze this objectively. Is the rain itself truly the problem? Or is the root of your frustration actually your expectation that it absolutely should not be raining on your meticulously planned day? The rain, in its impersonal reality, does not care about your plans or your expectations. It simply falls. You possess absolutely no control over the weather. However, you possess absolute control over how you choose to respond to it. You can choose to remain angry, miserable, and upset, allowing the rain to ruin your day. Or you can choose to grab an umbrella, adapt your plans, and embrace the situation. The very same principle applies with remarkable precision to interactions with people. You cannot control whether someone chooses to be rude, impatient, or dismissive. Their behavior is their choice, driven by their own inner world. But you can, with absolute certainty, control whether you choose to take their behavior personally. You can control whether you allow their actions to irrevocably ruin your mood, or whether you simply acknowledge it and let it go. You can control whether you respond with an automatic burst of anger, or with a measured sense of calm indifference, perhaps even a touch of understanding. And when you consistently learn to master your response, to consciously choose how you engage with external provocations, you truly become untouchable, immune to the emotional slings and arrows that once would have derailed your peace. Many individuals unknowingly spend their entire lives in a perpetual state of reaction, allowing the external world, with all its unpredictability, to completely dictate their internal emotional states. If someone extends kindness to them, they feel happy and validated. If someone exhibits rudeness, they feel hurt, rejected, or angry. If things unfold smoothly and according to plan, they feel good and content. If things go awry, unexpectedly or uncontrollably, they instantly feel miserable and defeated. This reactive way of living is akin to existing as a puppet, constantly manipulated and pulled by the myriad invisible strings of other people's capricious behavior and the random, often chaotic circumstances of life. True power, authentic self-mastery, truly emerges when you consciously decide to sever those strings. It comes when you make the unwavering commitment that no matter what unfolds in the external world, you will not allow yourself to be controlled by it, but rather you will control your experience of it. One of the most profoundly effective and accessible ways to reclaim this vital control over your emotional landscape is to diligently practice the pause. When something or someone upsets you, when that familiar surge of anger or irritation begins to rise, resist the almost irresistible urge to react immediately. Instead, take a conscious, deep breath. Observe your emotions as they arise, without judgment, simply noticing them. Then, ask yourself, with genuine introspection, is this truly worth my peace? Is this specific event or interaction worth sacrificing my precious inner calm and tranquility? More often than not, when you allow yourself this space, the answer will unequivocally be no. The very moment you intentionally pause, you create a crucial, vital space, a sacred gap between the external event and your habitual reaction. And it is precisely within that space that true freedom resides. This practice is not about suppressing your emotions, pretending they don't exist, or disingenuously acting as if things don't bother you. That would be an unhealthy form of denial. Instead, it is fundamentally about recognizing that you possess a powerful, inherent choice. You can either remain passively controlled by the unpredictable tides of the external world, or you can consciously choose to control how you navigate, how you move through, and how you experience that world. The rain, metaphorically and literally, will fall whether you like it or not. People will act how they choose, driven by their own inner workings, not necessarily how you wish they would. Circumstances will inevitably shift, often far beyond your most meticulous plans. The more you stubbornly resist this fundamental truth, the more suffering, frustration, and disappointment you will inadvertently create for yourself. But when you consciously accept this profound truth, you gain the greatest power of all, the unparalleled ability to truly own your response, no matter what happens. And once you truly own your response, once you reclaim that inner sovereignty, nothing and no one can ever truly, fundamentally bother you again. Your peace becomes your fortress. One of the most significant and pervasive reasons why we frequently experience anger, frustration, or irritation due to the actions of others is a deep-seated tendency to take things personally. Someone offers a criticism of our work or character, and we instantly feel attacked, as if our very essence is under assault. Someone seems to ignore us, and we interpret it as a deliberate slight, feeling disrespected and unseen. Someone else shines brightly, achieving recognition or success, and we immediately feel insecure, perhaps even diminished by their light. But the profound and liberating truth is this: the vast majority of what people say or do has absolutely nothing, or at best, very little, to do with us. It's not about you. It never truly was. The real underlying issue isn't the specific words others utter or the particular actions they take. Instead, it is often the subtle, insistent voice of the ego, that part of our mind that cunningly convinces us that we are perpetually at the very center of everyone's attention, everyone's thoughts, and everyone's actions. The ego is that demanding, often self-important voice within your mind that whispers or sometimes shouts, "I deserve better treatment. I should be recognized for my efforts. I simply must be treated with unwavering respect." It thrives and feeds voraciously off external validation, off a sense of control, and off an inflated sense of self-importance. But here's the critical link. The more we allow this ego to dominate and run our emotional landscape, the more easily and consistently people are able to trigger us, to provoke a reactive response. If someone dares to question our abilities or competence, the ego instantly rushes in, bristling, ready to defend itself with fierce determination. If someone hurls an insult, the ego immediately demands retribution, a swift and satisfying revenge. However, when you learn the art of detaching from the ego, when you consciously loosen its grip on your reactions, something truly incredible and profoundly liberating begins to happen. You stop automatically reacting. Imagine this scenario. You're walking along a busy street, minding your own business, and suddenly, a complete stranger, for no apparent reason, yells a harsh insult directly at you. Your ego, in its habitual way, instantly wants to fight back. It wants to prove them wrong, to restore its perceived sense of importance, to defend your honor. But what if you simply chose not to take it personally? What if you saw that person's sudden, unsolicited outburst for what it very likely truly is? A raw, unfiltered reflection of their current state of mind, their inner turmoil, their own struggles, and absolutely not a reflection of yours. When you successfully detach from the insistent demands of the ego, you gain the profound insight that most of people's seemingly personal words and actions originate from their own deep-seated struggles, their unacknowledged fears, and their pervasive insecurities. And when you truly see and understand this, their words, their insults, their criticisms immediately lose their power over you. They become empty, meaningless sounds, unable to penetrate your inner peace. Think back to various times you've been genuinely upset or offended by someone's actions. Were they truly, deliberately trying to inflict harm upon you, to personally target you with malice? Or were they, more likely, simply acting from their own place of pain, confusion, or overwhelming stress? A rude cashier, for instance, might not be trying to be offensive. They could simply be having an absolutely terrible day, grappling with unseen burdens. A friend who snaps at you unexpectedly might be silently struggling with an immense amount of stress, perhaps at work or in their personal life. A boss who consistently fails to acknowledge your hard work might be entirely consumed by their own worries, their own professional anxieties, or their own personal challenges. But if you allow the powerful, self-centered ego to take over, it will cunningly convince you that these actions are direct, personal attacks aimed squarely at you, that they are deliberate affronts, and that you are therefore obligated to defend yourself vigorously. Yet in reality, the vast majority of people's behavior is rarely, if ever, truly about us. It is, almost without exception, about them. Letting go of the ego's insistent demands does not, contrary to popular misconception, mean becoming passive, weak, or allowing people to mistreat you without consequence. It means recognizing that you do not need to react emotionally to every single provocation. It means understanding at a fundamental level that your inherent worth, your true value as a human being, is absolutely not determined by the way others choose to treat you or perceive you. It means realizing that just because someone is rude, dismissive, or critical, it does not automatically imply that you must internalize their behavior as a personal wound, a direct assault on your character. One of the most profoundly freeing affirmations you can offer yourself is to simply remember, this is not about me. The very next time someone frustrates you, pause. Instead of getting caught in the emotional whirlwind, ask yourself, with genuine curiosity and a degree of empathy, what must this person be experiencing or going through to act in this particular way? This simple yet powerful shift from taking things personally to observing them objectively with a measure of detachment can transform your entire experience. Suddenly, you move from being a reactive participant to an unshakable observer, a master of your own emotional state. There is an ancient, timeless saying, you cannot be insulted if you do not take offense. The only way someone's words can truly penetrate and hurt you is if your ego, that vigilant defender of self-importance, attaches itself to them. If someone calls you a failure, it only truly stings if, deep down, you harbor a secret fear that it might be true. If someone pointedly ignores you, it only genuinely bothers you if your ego secretly craves attention and validation. But when you learn to consciously let go of the ego, you simultaneously release the debilitating need for external validation. You realize with profound clarity that no one's opinion, no matter how strongly voiced, possesses the power to define who you are, unless you consciously, or unconsciously grant them that power. True, lasting peace arrives when you no longer feel the incessant need to prove yourself, to defend your honor, or to react impulsively to every perceived slight. When you detach from the ego's grasp, you stop giving others that dangerous control over your emotions. You stop making their actions about you. And when nothing is personal, when you've severed that emotional link, truly nothing can ever genuinely bother you again. Most people instinctively perceive annoyance, irritation, or frustration as inherently negative problems, obstacles to be avoided, disruptive forces that ruin their mood, or inconvenient occurrences that simply shouldn't happen. But what if we were to radically reframe this perspective? What if annoyance wasn't merely an obstacle, but instead a profound opportunity? A chance to grow, to strengthen the resilience of your mind, to cultivate an even deeper state of being unshakable. The true key to never getting genuinely angry or profoundly bothered by anyone isn't to meticulously avoid all difficult people or to somehow engineer a life free of frustrating situations. That's an impossible and ultimately futile quest. Instead, the real secret lies in reframing these very situations, perceiving them as valuable challenges, as mental workouts that possess the power to make you considerably stronger, more resilient, and more mentally robust. Think for a moment about the specific things that annoy you the most in your daily life. Perhaps it's a coworker who perpetually interrupts you during meetings, a fellow driver who consistently cuts you off in traffic, or a family member who seems to have a selective listening problem. Your instinctive, default reaction might be a surge of frustration, irritation, or even outright anger. But I urge you to stop in that moment and ask yourself with genuine curiosity, what if this is not a problem, but rather a test? A test of my patience, a test of my emotional control, a test of my unwavering inner peace. Consider athletes. They don't typically complain when their training sessions or workouts are intensely difficult. On the contrary, they embrace the challenge, knowing that it is precisely through that discomfort and effort that they become physically stronger, more capable, and more resilient. In precisely the same way, mentally strong and emotionally intelligent individuals don't easily succumb to annoyance. Why? Because they consciously choose to perceive frustrating situations as invaluable training opportunities, as chances to build their emotional muscle. Every single time someone or something irritates you, you are presented with a powerful choice. You can either react emotionally, allowing the situation to completely control and dictate your inner state, or you can consciously pause, take a calming breath, and choose to perceive it differently. Every moment of annoyance, however minor, is a chance to practice self-control, just as a demanding workout is an opportunity to build physical muscle and endurance. Let's illustrate this with another common scenario. Imagine you're patiently standing in a long line at a coffee shop, and the person directly in front of you is being inexplicably, ridiculously slow, perhaps fumbling with their wallet, ordering an overly complicated drink, or engaging in a protracted phone call. You can feel your own impatience beginning to swell, growing steadily within you. But instead of automatically giving in to that rising frustration, you can consciously ask yourself, can I simply sit with this uncomfortable feeling without immediately reacting? Can I actively utilize this moment as a deliberate chance to build and strengthen my patience, my inner calm? The moment you begin to genuinely see these seemingly irritating situations not as problems to be lamented or avoided, but as valuable challenges to be embraced, everything within you shifts. Instead of being a passive victim of your emotions, constantly tossed about by external winds, you effectively become the conscious master of them. This profound mindset shift isn't merely about avoiding annoyance. It's about actively transforming it into something incredibly useful and constructive. Instead of habitually asking, why does this person have to be so frustrating? Try asking, what valuable lesson can I learn from this situation? Perhaps the challenge is to cultivate and maintain calm under unforeseen pressure. Perhaps it's an opportunity to practice the art of not taking things personally. Perhaps it's a chance to develop deeper empathy, realizing that people often act out of their own unseen struggles rather than with a deliberate intent to upset you. One of the most potent and liberating skills you can cultivate is the ability to genuinely laugh at things that once would have thoroughly annoyed or angered you. Humor is a truly secret weapon, a powerful antidote against the corrosive effects of frustration. If someone is being overtly difficult or deliberately provocative, instead of allowing yourself to get upset, try offering a slight, knowing smile to yourself and think, another unexpected challenge presents itself. Let's see how truly unshakable I can be today. Suddenly, what would have been an irritating, draining experience transforms into a playful game, a mental exercise where the ultimate victory means successfully safeguarding your inner peace, no matter what external circumstances unfold. Observe some of the most successful and peaceful individuals in the world. You'll notice they don't shy away from challenges. In fact, they often actively seek them out. They possess an innate understanding that genuine growth, profound learning, and lasting wisdom stem directly from discomfort, from confronting what is difficult. Emotional strength, just like physical strength, is not a gift. It is meticulously built through consistent exposure to and skillful navigation of difficult situations and people. The key, therefore, isn't to wish for an unrealistic world entirely devoid of annoying people or frustrating events. No, the key is to actively become the kind of person who can remain profoundly calm, deeply centered, and entirely unbothered, no matter what life throws their way. The next time you feel that familiar irritation rising within you, remember this empowering truth. It is a challenge, not an insurmountable problem. It is not a setback, but a valuable chance, an invaluable opportunity to strengthen your emotional control and your inner resilience. Treat it precisely like a mental workout, an opportunity to definitively prove to yourself that you are the one truly in charge of your emotions, not the capricious whims of the world around you. And when you begin to consistently think and act in this transformative way, you will inevitably discover that fewer and fewer things possess the power to genuinely bother you at all. When someone disrespects you, chooses to ignore you, or acts in a manner that feels profoundly unfair, the natural, almost primal instinct is to react with a surge of anger. Anger can, deceptively, make us feel momentarily powerful, as though we are vigorously standing up for ourselves, asserting our boundaries, or righting a perceived wrong. However, in the cold light of reality, anger very rarely solves anything constructively. More often than not, it only serves to fuel conflict, escalate tension, drain our precious energy, and, critically, it hands over control of them, our emotions, to the very people or situations that triggered us. The real, enduring power, the true strength that fosters lasting peace, lies in making a conscious, deliberate choice to embrace empathy over anger. Empathy is not a weakness, it is a profound strength. It does not imply excusing bad behavior, condoning harmful actions, or passively allowing people to walk all over you without consequence. On the contrary, it means recognizing with deep insight that most of the time when people act out, when they are rude, dismissive, or unkind, it has absolutely nothing to do with you personally and everything to do with them. It stems from their internal state, their overwhelming stress, their deep-seated insecurities, their unresolved struggles, or their unacknowledged pain. When you grasp this fundamental truth, it becomes immeasurably harder to take things personally, to internalize their actions as direct affronts to your being. Let's revisit the scenario of someone cutting you off in traffic. Your initial, automatic reaction might be one of intense frustration, perhaps even an angry thought. How dare they? Don't they see me? But what if you paused for a mere second and consciously considered an alternative possibility, a different narrative? Maybe they just received devastating news. Perhaps they are frantically rushing to be with a loved one in the hospital, facing a life or death situation. Maybe they are simply completely lost in their own overwhelming worries, their mind preoccupied with something profoundly challenging. The reality is, you simply don't. Negative or inappropriate behavior is justified or acceptable. But it does mean that in almost all cases, their behavior is not personally about you. When you truly internalize this realization, you effectively free yourself from the draining, self-perpetuating cycle of resentment, indignation, and frustration. There is an old, deeply insightful saying, hurt people hurt people. Those individuals who lash out, who criticize harshly, who gossip unkindly, or who act in mean-spirited ways are very often merely projecting their own deep-seated inner pain, their unresolved suffering, onto the world around them. When you react to their negativity with your own anger, you are inadvertently feeding into their destructive cycle, amplifying the negativity and allowing it to consume you. But when you choose to respond with unwavering calmness, or better yet, with a deliberate act of kindness or compassionate understanding, you consciously break that destructive cycle. You refuse to allow their turbulent emotions to dictate your own inner state. You remain firmly in control of your emotional landscape, a beacon of peace amidst their storm. Consider the last time you found yourself being short-tempered or irritable with someone. Were you genuinely angry at them in that moment? Or were you actually just feeling overwhelmingly stressed, deeply tired, or intensely frustrated about something else entirely unconnected to them? Most of us, if we're honest, have had those regrettable moments where we've acted in ways we later deeply regret. Not because we are inherently bad people, but because we were at that moment struggling internally. If you can recognize this universal human tendency in yourself, you can, with greater ease, recognize it in others. And when you do, you come to the profound realization that choosing empathy over anger isn't just about altruistically helping them. Fundamentally, it's about powerfully protecting your own peace, your own emotional well-being. Empathy doesn't always necessitate engaging in a lengthy conversation or attempting to fix the other person. Sometimes, the most empathetic and self-preserving response is simply to step back, to create distance, and to consciously choose not to allow someone else's negativity to infect or affect your inner tranquility. You don't have to carry their pain as your own. You don't have to absorb their frustrations. But you can, with immense power, choose not to add to it, not to escalate it. And in doing so, you diligently protect your vital energy, your profound happiness, and your unwavering ability to remain calm and centered in virtually any situation. The very next time someone does something that, under normal circumstances, would instantly trigger your anger, pause. Instead of allowing that automatic reaction to take hold, ask yourself, with a quiet inner voice, what might genuinely be going on with them right now? What unseen struggles might they be facing? Even if you never definitively know the answer, the simple conscious act of asking that question, of shifting your mindset from accusation to inquiry, fundamentally alters your perspective. And when you begin to perceive people through a lens of greater understanding and compassion, you will discover, with profound relief, that fewer and fewer things possess the true power to bother you at all. Many people tend to conceptualize peace as a distant, ultimate achievement, some future, idealized state where absolutely nothing bothers them, where life is perfectly calm and serene, and where they are finally, irrevocably free from all stress and anxiety. But this way of thinking, while understandable, actually sets them up for inevitable disappointment and frustration. Peace is not a final destination, a finish line you cross one day and then reside in forever. It is not something you arrive at and subsequently never lose. On the contrary, peace is a vibrant, dynamic, and continuous daily practice. It is a conscious choice, a profound intention that you make over and over again, diligently, moment by moment, day in and day out. Think about the discipline of physical fitness. You wouldn't reasonably expect to visit the gym once, perform a strenuous workout, and then remain perfectly in shape for the rest of your life. To maintain physical well-being, you must consistently train, regularly exercise, and continually strengthen your body. The exact same principle, with striking accuracy, applies to the health and resilience of your mind. Just because you manage to remain calm and composed in one challenging situation does not automatically guarantee that you will effortlessly stay calm in the next. Peace, like a muscle, needs to be actively worked on, nurtured, and strengthened every single day. The world, in its unpredictable nature, will never cease testing you. There will invariably be difficult people, unexpected problems that emerge from nowhere, and countless moments that will challenge the very limits of your patience. But the ultimate goal is not to somehow eliminate these inherent challenges. That's an unrealistic fantasy. The goal is to consistently get better, more skillful, and more resilient at handling them. The person who truly never gets angry or genuinely bothered isn't someone who miraculously never encounters difficulties or frustrating situations. They are simply someone who has practiced the art of cultivating peace so consistently, so diligently, that it has become their default, automatic response to life's inevitable ups and downs. Each new day brings with it fresh, often subtle, opportunities to practice the discipline of peace. Perhaps it's the exasperatingly slow driver in front of you during your commute. Perhaps it's the coworker who, once again, interrupts you mid-sentence. Perhaps it's an unexpected delay that forces you to wait, testing your patience. Every single one of these moments, however minor they may seem, is a valuable test. A chance to consciously choose patience over frustration, to opt for calmness over irritation, and to embrace understanding over anger. Many people mistakenly believe they will finally feel at peace once certain external conditions are perfectly met. Once they secure the perfect job, once they successfully move to a quiet, idyllic place, or once they are surrounded exclusively by positive, uplifting people. But true, authentic peace, the kind that endures, does not depend on such fleeting external circumstances. It is not about painstakingly controlling the world around you. It is fundamentally about diligently controlling the world within you. If your peace is contingent upon everything going perfectly according to your plan, then it is a fragile, conditional peace, easily shattered. But if you learn to cultivate and nurture peace, regardless of what happens in the external world, then truly nothing, absolutely nothing, can ever truly take it away from you. This profound insight does not mean that you will never again experience a fleeting moment of frustration, irritation, or even mild anger. Even the most profoundly peaceful and enlightened individuals experience moments of tension or emotional discomfort. The crucial difference, however, lies in how quickly they are able to return to a state of inner balance. When they feel triggered, they recognize it, acknowledge it without judgment, take a conscious breath, and then consciously choose not to dwell in that negativity. They don't permit small annoyances to derail and ruin their entire day. They don't cling to resentment, allowing it to fester and grow. Instead, they actively practice the art of letting go, not just once, but over and over again with conscious intention. A truly excellent and effective way to strengthen your peace muscle, your daily practice of peace, is to develop small, consistent daily habits. Regular meditation, even for a few minutes, practicing deep, intentional breathing, or simply taking a deliberate moment to pause and reflect before reacting to any situation can make an enormous and transformative difference. The more consistently you train yourself to remain calm and composed in small, everyday moments, the more effortless and natural it becomes to maintain that calm in larger, more significant challenges. Another key and highly impactful practice is cultivating gratitude. When you consciously choose to focus your attention on what is good, what is abundant, and what you are thankful for in your life, it becomes significantly harder for minor frustrations or petty annoyances to shake your inner equilibrium. Remember, peace is not a one-time achievement, a trophy you collect and then simply display. It is a living, breathing entity that you must actively cultivate, gently nurture, and consistently strengthen every single day of your life. Some days, the path will be smoother, easier than others. Some situations will challenge you far more deeply and unexpectedly than you could ever anticipate. But that, paradoxically, is the very beauty and profound gift of this journey. Every single moment, every interaction, every challenge presents another invaluable chance to practice. And the more consistently you practice, the more natural, the more ingrained, and the more effortless it becomes to embody that inner peace. So, do not postpone your peace, waiting for life to magically become perfect before you seek it. Do not wait for others to change or for external circumstances to align precisely with your desires. Start now. Start precisely where you are, with all your imperfections and challenges. Because true peace isn't something external you eventually find. It is, ultimately, something profound you actively become.